My wife, who I'll call Jane, and I have been married for 2 years. To save anyone doing the math, yes, we got together when she was 22 and I was 38. We dated for 2 months before we eloped. I don't generally recommend this and have no justification to offer other than it just felt right, and which is basically what everyone says, of course, so maybe I'm just a cliché. Jane's family is very wealthy. I've been fortunate and live very comfortably, but this is old money generational wealth, an entirely different league. I did sign a prenup and she has sole access to her trust fund for what it's worth. Her family is large and there are a lot of cousins. Most of them are a lot older or younger than my wife, except for one who I'll call Rachel, 25 years old. Growing up, they were also very good friends as much as cousins, and Rachel in particular has had a tough life. Her father frequently cheated on her mother, and in turn, her mother was withdrawn and distant. Her father was also around 20 years older than her mother, so you might see where this is going. Jane's family has regular gatherings, but Rachel never attends them, so she and I hadn't actually met until recently when she visited. She barely acknowledged me at dinner, only really speaking to Jane, who got visibly more annoyed by it as the night went on. I could tell she was conflicted, understandably. I thought maybe it'd be better if I excused myself after dinner to let them catch up alone, but as soon as I tried to leave, Rachel started asking me a bunch of questions. The last 3 were, how old was your last ex before Jane? 35 years old when we broke up. Why did you break up? For the same reason as my previous 3 exes. I couldn't get out of my own head and decide what I wanted, and it wasn't fair to them. How many of them did you cheat on? At that one, Jane interrupted with, Rachel, what the frick? You don't want to know? Jay, he didn't cheat on any of them. Christ, I freaking met 3 of the 4. They still have friends in common. Maybe they never found out. That was when I guess I'd had enough. Look, it's fine if you don't like me, but I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that when you're a guest in our house, you won't just repeatedly insult me. If you'd like to see Jane without me around, that's fine too, but right now I think you should probably leave. It was obvious how frustrated Jane was with her at that point, so it didn't surprise me when she agreed. Rachel went very quiet. She got up, gathered her things and left without another word, but she was crying by the time she got to the door. I certainly felt like a jerk in that moment. Jane said she had no issue with what I said, but the last time she reached out to Rachel, her reply said she had no interest in talking while Jane was married to that jerk. I know the fracturing of this relationship is hurting Jane, and I definitely feel responsible. So, Reddit, please tell me, should I have kept my mouth shut? Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I also don't think it's too much to ask that guests not insult you in your own house, especially when she's just projecting her insecurities onto you without even knowing you. She needs to grow up and frick off. Comment 2. Not the idiot, just stay out of the way. Tell your wife you trust her decide when/how/whether to reach out to Rachel. Rachel seems to be a broken soul who needs some support. Comment 3. Not the idiot. She is outright disrespecting your marriage and projecting her own father's infidelity onto you. She needs therapy. Now for the update. So, after that disastrous dinner, things were tense for a while. Jane was upset. Rachel wasn't talking to us, and I was feeling guilty about possibly driving a wedge between them. A couple of months passed, and out of the blue I got a text from Rachel. I was hesitant at first, but she asked if we could meet for coffee, one-on-one. I talked it over with Jane and she encouraged me to go, saying maybe she's reaching out because she wants to make things right. So I met Rachel at a little cafe downtown. I was prepared for the worst, but to my surprise, she apologized as soon as I sat down. She admitted that she'd been going through a tough time personally and unfairly took it out on me. She also said that seeing Jane happy, but with someone so different from herself, had been a shock, and she'd reacted poorly. We talked for hours, guys. Rachel shared more about her struggles, and I shared some of my past, the things that aren't so glossy. It turns out we're more alike than different. We've both been through our share of hard knocks. By the end of the coffee meeting, it felt like we'd built a bridge over a gap we didn't know was crossable. Fast forward to now, Rachel's become a regular visitor at our home. She's really warmed up to me and we've found a mutual love for gardening of all things. We're planning to start a community garden project together. Jane's over the moon seeing her family come together, and honestly, so am I. Navigating this patch has taught me that sometimes people lash out because they're hurting and not because they want to hurt you. Rachel's part of our family and I'm proud of how we've all worked through the tension. Sometimes it just takes a little patience, a lot of talking, and a willingness to see the person behind the pain. So Reddit, it turns out I wasn't wrong to stand up for myself. But I'm glad I also stood by to give Rachel a second chance. Thanks to everyone who offered advice and support when I needed it most. Now for the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. It's really big of you to extend an olive branch after what happened. People make mistakes, and it's heartening to see that you could empathise with Rachel's situation and not hold a grudge. Starting a community garden sounds like a positive way to turn a rough start into a blossoming friendship. Kudos to you for being mature and compassionate. Comment 2, you're the idiot. I get that people have rough patches, but that doesn't give Rachel the right to ruin dinner and create tension. You might be setting yourself up for more drama by letting her back into your life so easily. Forgiveness is one thing, but make sure you're not just being a doormat. Comment 3, not the idiot. Life is too short to hold on to anger, and it seems like Rachel really needed someone to see past her mistakes. It's amazing how a simple coffee meetup can change the dynamic between people. That community garden is not just about planting seeds in the soil, it's about planting seeds of a renewed friendship. Proud of you for being the bigger person. Now for the next story. I, 32-year-old man, have had tension with my sister, 28-year-old woman, over the past few Christmases. There aren't really huge problems in my family, so the tension is silly but persistent. I work inconsistent hours with the public and usually do not get the holidays free. My sister works very consistent hours out of the public eye and usually gets the holidays free. My typical Christmas is working a full shift, leaving as soon as I can, and driving a couple of hours to my parents' house. I am almost always the last to show up, and I mostly want to heat up a plate, catch up with family and relax when I arrive. My sister, who plans activities in a care home for a living, typically has some type of totally not mandatory game activity set up when I walk through the door. This was not a tradition that we grew up doing, and I should point out that everyone at the gathering is an adult, with her being the youngest. After my day of selling followed by driving, I do not have the will to learn a new board game. I'm exhausted, overstimulated and want to catch up with folks I don't see every day. That said, I don't want or try to stand in the way of anyone having fun and don't mind at all just decompressing while whomever plays. Something like this exchange is common. Hey brother, are you ready to play a game I've never heard of in a few minutes? I think I might sit this one out. I'm pretty beat. Come on, don't be a Grinch. I hope you have fun though. You never want to do anything, you're an but, and it usually devolves from there. I don't end up playing the game but get glared at by her for most of it. Family just finds it awkward and amusing and has come to expect the exact scenario. On the one hand, I could show up with more enthusiasm and a team player attitude. On the other hand, I feel like my sister doesn't understand my stress level and makes the day more lame with too much planning and pressure. Seems like it's either her way or you hate fun and ruin family Christmas gaming, which she invented 4 years ago. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. You will not play the board game. No Christmas for you. Go to the back of the line. Comment 2, not the idiot. You're there to talk to people you rarely see. Don't let her take that time from you. Now for the update. After the whole Christmas issue, things went from awkward to downright explosive between my sister and me. Things came to a head at our cousin's engagement party last Saturday. I was minding my own business, chatting with an aunt I hadn't seen in ages, when my sister came up to me, drink in hand, and the look on her face spelled trouble. Before I knew it, she was berating me in front of everyone for ruining Christmas and being a perpetual downer. I was taken aback and tried to keep my cool, reminding her that I worked crazy hours and was just exhausted, but she wouldn't have it. She accused me of always making excuses and not caring about family time. That's when things got a bit wild. Our Uncle Mike, who's usually the peacemaker, stepped in and tried to calm things down, but he accidentally spilled his drink on my sister's dress. She lost it. She started shouting at Uncle Mike, and then my parents intervened. The whole party turned into a family feud, like some sort of dramatic reality TV show. But here's the jaw-dropping part. The stress of the argument and the scene we'd caused was apparently too much for our grandma. She fainted, and we had to call an ambulance. Thank God she's okay. It was just low blood sugar, but we were all scared as hell for a moment there. In the aftermath of all this, my sister and I were forced to have a real heart-to-heart, arranged by our parents who were fed up with the drama. I explained my side, and she explained hers. Turns out she's been feeling underappreciated in her own life and was taking it out on me because I wasn't fitting into her idea of a perfect family holiday. It was a lot of pent-up emotions on both sides. We've agreed to try and understand each other's lives better. I'm going to make more of an effort to be there for family events, even if I'm tired, and she's going to be more accommodating and not push so hard for everything to be her way. So, crazy as it sounds, that meltdown might have been what we needed. It's early days, but it feels like we might actually get past this and be real siblings again. There's talk of a family therapy session, and honestly, I think we could all benefit from it. Anyway, I should probably go. Grandma has been insisting on baking cookies with everyone as a way to heal the family, and if I'm late, I'll never hear the end of it. Let's hope this is the beginning of a less dramatic era. Now for the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. Sounds like your sister's the one who needs to check her drama at the door, not you. Sometimes people project their own issues onto others, and it seems like she's doing exactly that. Good on you for keeping your cool and agreeing to family therapy. Also, kudos to Grandma for the cookie idea. Nothing like sweet treats to sweeten a sour situation. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Even though it's great you're moving towards a resolution, you gloss over your role in ruining Christmas. It takes two to tango, and it sounds like you might be downplaying your part in the family drama. Reflect on your actions and make sure you're not just playing the victim here. Family therapy is a step in the right direction, but it requires acknowledging your own faults too. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your family sounds like a pressure cooker waiting to pop, and your sister confronting you at a public event was the catalyst. It's not your fault Uncle Mike spilled a drink, and it's certainly not on you that Grandma fainted. You're taking steps to mend fences with therapy, and that's commendable. Plus, who doesn't love Grandma's cookies as peace offerings? Keep that positive outlook. Now for the next story. I, 30 years old female, have been together with my husband Michael, 31 years old male, for 7 years, married for 3 years and dating for 4 years. My mother-in-law, 58 years old female, has always hosted Christmas ever since I've known him. I've always made lasagna for Christmas and other special occasions. I'm essentially the family's lasagna maker, and I honestly don't really mind since I love to cook and bake. However, last year my mother-in-law decided to make lasagna based on what she saw me doing when she was at my house and a recipe she got off the internet. I was surprised that she prepared a pan of her own, but didn't say anything and even got a small piece. It did not taste good, and it was barely touched while mine had almost half gone near the end of the dinner. That infuriated my mother-in-law, and she wound up ranting about how everyone loves me more than her and tried to throw my lasagna in the trash. I say tried because it mainly ended up on the floor. Michael and I quickly left after that, and my mother-in-law has not apologized for it since. Yesterday she called me to confirm what I was making for Christmas this year, and on her list of things I should make was lasagna. I politely said I wasn't going to make lasagna due to last year's incident, and I'd be happy to make anything else. My mother-in-law wasn't as polite and called me vindictive for refusing to make the lasagna over a small mistake. I just refused again, and it made my mother-in-law angrier, so she told me that unless I show up with lasagna in hand, she wouldn't let me be at the Christmas celebration. My husband says it's easier to just make the lasagna to keep the peace, and I shouldn't hold my mother-in-law's mistake that she made out of anger against her. Word got to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law from my mother-in-law, and they're saying I should also make it, even if it's just half of what I would usually make. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. And G'd it. My husband says it's easier to just make the lasagna to keep the peace, and I shouldn't hold my mother-in-law's mistake that she made out of anger against her. Sounds like he just volunteered to make the lasagna. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. She told you that you weren't invited if you didn't bring lasagna. Oh, hell no, and hubby better have your back on this. Time to book a Christmas getaway for you and hubby. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Don't cave in. Your husband should be backing you up. You have a husband problem. No apology from your mother-in-law means no go. Now for the update. First off, I stuck to my guns and didn't make the lasagna for Christmas. I thought that was the end of it, but no. That was just the calm before the storm. My mother-in-law went around telling the entire family that I was trying to ruin Christmas over a petty grudge. She even managed to convince some distant relatives I've never met to call me and tell me off for being so childish. Then my husband, who has been trying to stay neutral, got a call from his uncle, who rarely gets involved in family drama, saying he was disappointed in us for not putting family first. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for my husband. We had a huge fight. He said he didn't sign up for a marriage where family conflicts overshadow our life. I was floored, considering I thought he understood my feelings. In a shocking turn of events, my sister-in-law, CIL, who had previously sided with mother-in-law, showed up at our door the next day with an apology cake and a confession. She admitted she only pressured me because mother-in-law had been guilt-tripping her about keeping the family together. She recounted how mother-in-law had a meltdown after our argument, revealing this was all about mother-in-law feeling like her role as the family matriarch was being threatened by me and my lasagna. As if that wasn't enough, last Thursday my brother-in-law, BIL, accidentally sent me a text meant for mother-in-law that read, "I can't believe you're still on about the lasagna. Let it go." Turns out brother-in-law has been on my side this whole time and was only pressuring me under duress from mother-in-law, who had been threatening to write him out of the will. The climax of this saga happened this past weekend. Mother-in-law hosted an emergency family meeting, which felt more like a trial where the crime was my refusal to make lasagna. I was prepared for battle, but to everyone's shock, my husband stood up and delivered a speech about how love and respect are more important than any tradition. He apologized to me in front of everyone for not supporting me and turned to his mother, asking her to apologize to me for her behavior. There was this tense silence, then mother-in-law started crying, actually crying, and apologized. She said she didn't realize how her actions affected everyone, and that she just wanted to feel needed. It was an emotional roller coaster, but it ended with a group hug, and my husband and I agreeing to host a small New Year's dinner, no lasagna on the menu. In a bizarre twist, the family has now decided to rotate holiday hosting duties each year with different signature dishes. The drama seems to have brought some deep-seated issues to the surface that everyone is now willing to work on. So, there you have it. No lasagna for Christmas, but perhaps a recipe for a more peaceful and respectful family dynamic going forward. Now, for the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. You have the right to decide what you will and won't cook. If lasagna isn't on your Christmas wish list, so be it. The mother-in-law was out of line for starting drama over a dish. Good on your brother-in-law for having your back and your husband for standing his ground. It's about family, not lasagna. Comment 2. You're the idiot for not just making the lasagna. It's one dish, one day out of the year. It could have avoided all the unnecessary drama. Sometimes in families we do things we don't love to keep the peace. A lasagna isn't worth all this conflict. Comment 3. Not the idiot at all. Your mother-in-law owes you more than an apology for spreading rumours. It's awesome that the truth came out, and that the family is now sharing the hosting duties. It's about time everyone realised that holidays are about togetherness, not control. Cheers to your husband for stepping up. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.